nice. Come on, look at the birds. Look at the birds.
There's the restaurant your mom's.
Yeah, that's the one.
Left onto Shark Valley Loop Road.
Here we are.
In a quarter mile, your destination will be on the right.
Let me see. Look at all those birds. Wow.
Are you filming?
Yeah, look at them. You see them? Kamar? Oh, that's a night crown. Oh my. See any gators, Kamar?
Yep, there was a gator.
Oh, there it is. Ah, this really, this should be another one. Should be.
Going up on the bank.
Oh, I see. I see it. Right there. Well, we're gonna have a fun day, aren't we? Oh, there's the pay station. Yeah, another night area. Oh, where is the gator?
Look over there.
Oh my god. That's a big one. See my own choice, you know?
Sunbathing.
Yeah. It's sunbathing. Guess a great egret.
Wow, this is amazing.
How big is it, you think? I can't see his nose wells. Hidden in the grass. Yeah, it's hidden in the grass. Let's be some more. Oh, that's the. Oh, that's another. Oh, now I can see his nose much better. Darn. Yeah. We don't have much time. That's a wood stork and a great egret. Parrot.
Not engaged cars.
This is how it's. There's the tour. See the tram?
Yeah.
See, that's the tram. It's a black crown night heron. There's a little boardwalk out there. That's the game tram. We can park, you know.
Right here. Welcome to Everglades National Park, Shark Valley. Let's do the tram tour first.
Water covering the road half the year, and then the next year it's bone dry. You can walk up there for hours and not get your feet wet. That's how dramatic the changes are here. Especially during this time, fish and marine life get trapped in puddles. So this attracts 300 to 400 species of birds to take advantage of the easy pickings and to come nest here. So if you guys are birders, it's a really exciting time to be here right now. But let me tell you guys that the Everglades throughout the years has changed a dramatic amount. So back when, over 100 years ago, before development, most of the South Florida and Upper Florida used to look just like this. Now let me show you guys a picture of what the Everglades used to look like. That bright green color is the water flowing on top of the land, because the water here does flow. The destination of the water is the Gulf of Mexico and Florida Bay. It's moving kind of slow. I'll talk about it on the tour. But most of us have actually been all the way up here where the Everglades used to start. If you've gone to Disney World, yeah, all of Disney World used to look just like this. The Everglades used to stretch as far north as Orlando, Florida. So we're going to talk about that on the tour. I'm just going to have the tram driver pull up. Guys, have your tickets ready. We're going to collect those as soon as everyone's seated. If you want to ask me questions, sit up in the front with me. In the back, you'll be able to hear me, but I won't hear you. So it's really tough terrain. We're very fortunate to be comfortable on the road, but this is one of the toughest terrains in pretty much all the national park system. Now, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Carmen. I'm going to be your tour guide today for the next 2 hours. An easy way to remember my name is Carmen San Diego, or Carmen the Opera. It doesn't matter. But sitting right next to me is one of the most important people on the tour today because he's going to be driving us. I want everyone to give a warm welcome to Ivan. Say good morning, Ivan. Hi, Ivan. Now, Ivan has the most important job because he's going to be, he's going to be driving us, and these tours this time of year, since there's lots to see out there, we go out every hour. So we got to use this tour, this tram right here for the next tour, so it's important we get back on time. He's also going to help me spot wildlife, and he's an excellent wildlife spotter, but you guys are wildlife spotters too. So just point whenever you see something. We'll try to stop as much as we can. We can't stop for everything just because, especially every alligator. There's a lot of alligators in this park. In fact, 50,000 alligators on average in the whole park system. Wow. Over 2 million alligators in the state. So you can imagine if we stop for every single one, it's going to be a 6-hour tour. There are signs as well, but you're going to notice a lot of people don't listen to the rules. So just keep your arms and legs inside of the tram, no high-fiving anybody to prevent injury to yourself and others. And we have our first bird sighting. Do you guys see these white birds on Ivan's side? With the curved orange beak. And we have even more here. I also want you to notice how shallow the water is. These birds are called white ibis. And the white ibis are tactile feeders. That means they poke their beak, kind of like a sewing needle, into the ground. And they prefer to hunt in shallow water, like a lot of other birds do, because it's easier to hunt. If you also notice, there are kind of trails. They kind of look like snake trails out there. And those are actually called alligator trails. You're going to see them all over the place. Gators are big and heavy, so they drag their bodies on the bottom and create these trails. Did you guys know that alligators can go 6 months to a year without eating anything? But they can't survive more than 2 weeks without water. So if you follow a gator trail during the peak of the dry season, when it's all dry, 100% of the time it will lead you to water and a couple of alligators. But if you live out here and you gotta survive, it's important to follow those gator trails to know where there's water. Oh, we have some killdeers. These are little shorebirds. They're called killdeers because they make a funny noise that kind of sounds like killdeer, killdeer. But that's why they're called killdeers. And that blackbird that just landed there, that was the very unendangered American crow. I'm sure you guys came out here to see that guy. But even though he's very common, he's actually the 5th smartest animal in the world. I'm not joking. At the tower, we tell people to take everything with them because that bird knows how to undo zippers, Velcro. If he can't figure it out, he'll pretty much break whatever it is. Yup, they actually have facial recognition for a year, so we don't like to mess with them too much because they'll remember us. But just letting you know, take all your items with you. A few years ago, park rangers had to chase down a group of crows, bribe them with a piece of bread because they got away with somebody's car keys. So yeah, I'm not joking. Alright, so we have some more wildlife here on the driver's side. The big dark bird flying, when it flies and has a V shape, that is a vulture. Those little ducks that just landed back there, those are little diving birds. Those are called pied-billed grebes.
Wow. You see them?
Pied-billed grebes. The beautiful white bird on the left side of the lake, that is the great egret. And that bird flying with the black border on its wings, that was a wood stork.
There's a kingfisher
We have a great, oh, there's another wood stork, and you can see his bright pink feet.
This is amazing, isn't it?
This beautiful grayish blue bird on the edge on the right side, that is a great blue heron. Oh guys, I think that's a limpkin. Take a look at the bush on the right hand side. On top of the bush, that brown bird with white spots is a limpkin. He has a curved beak because one of his favorite foods are the snails. You'll see snail shells all over the place. Perfect, yeah, that's totally a limpkin. Awesome. That's a pretty rare sighting, so for us birders, that's really, really cool. You also have a black bird singing right here on the marsh on the right side. That is called a male boat-tailed grackle.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, how many of you have been to other national parks?
We did.
Awesome. Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Sequoias.
I would love to do Yellowstone one
So
day.
many beautiful national parks. But I want you guys to think back about the feeling and the reaction you had when you first entered those other national parks. Oh, guys, first, look, we have some vultures, turkey vultures, sunning their wings. They stretch out their wings to burn off any parasites that they have on their wings. And then, oh, see, this is what I mean. When the dry season comes, all these birds come here because food is really easy to find. So we have some more white ibis. That was a great egret taking flight.
Those wood storks.
Back there in flight, that is a black-crowned night heron. It's an immature face. They look more grayish when they're younger. Great blue heron right here on the side of the canal on my side.
That's all right.
It has a snail
Limpkin.
with snails.
Oh, and we have two wood storks walking on the road right in front of us. That's what I told you guys. This is the best time of year for birds. Now we also have some cattle egrets and more white ibis. This is a lot of white ibis. Let me tell you guys something cool about the ibis. The ibis is what we know as a hurricane indicator species. Black crown, oh my god. Guys, we have a treat. We have roseate spoonbills.
Where?
They are pink. And they are beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to stay quiet for a moment because we don't want to startle them.
Yeah. You saw
Okay,
them?
it's flying. It's flying. This bird, oh, it's right there, guys. This is so awesome. This is the first time we see them really nice up close this season.
Oh, I see
So
a
guys,
store.
what they eat is freshwater shrimp, and that is what gives flamingos and spoonbills their pink color.
I don't see it.
So what I was saying about the ibis, oh, there he is, there he is. Guys, look at that, that is gorgeous. They are only here this time of year too, so you guys are very lucky. Oh, this is Ivan's first roseate spoonbill. He's so excited right now.
I don't exactly see. Is that it?
It's over there. Look at me. Right there. The pink bird.
Is it on the grass or the
No,
tree?
it's flying. It's the pink one. See? Now he's about
That's
to land.
awesome, guys. Now, what I was saying about the ibis. Oh, is he coming back this way?
There's a spoonbill.
Oh, yes, he landed back there.
Yes.
The first-
Just a little bit.
My favorite
To
bird.
see if you
That's
guys
Rosie
can get
and
your
Gobi the
photo
King of
opportunity.
Queen.
We're not sure if this will be the only one. Hopefully not. But this is beautiful. You see that?
Thank you.
That was awesome, guys. Now, the ibis is a hurricane indicator species. That means he's the last bird to leave this area when a hurricane is approaching. But he is the first bird to come back when the hurricane is over. That's why the Miami Hurricanes have Sebastian the White Ibis for their team, even though it's called the Hurricanes. Now guys, these birds right here, There's these little white ones and these little blue ones. Well, they're actually all the same bird. They're called little blue herons. Perfect. We have a wood stork that landed right here. We have black vultures on the road. Now, the turkey vulture has a red head and the black vulture has a black head.
That's a little one.
Raise your hand if you like vultures. Who likes vultures? Me too. Who doesn't like vultures? All right. If you don't like vultures, take a deep breath. Air smells nice, right? Well, thanks to them. They pretty much can take a carcass apart in a matter of hours to an alligator carcass we've seen disappear in 3 days because of those vultures. So if you're enjoying the fresh air, it's thanks to them. We call them the cleanup crew. Now, fun fact, never ever get too close to the vultures. As a self-defense mechanism, they will actually projectile vomit. So, just don't get too close. Not that you would want to anyways. Oh, we have our first alligator, guys.
Where? Where?
Right here, it's going to be on Ivan's side, and it's right on the grass. All right.
Yeah.
Somebody here in the front said, is he sleeping? Yes. Guys, alligators are most active nocturnally at nighttime. During the day, think about it this way. Alligators are cold-blooded reptiles. So during the day, they spend most of their time basking in the sun. Those bumps on the back are like a solar panel. They convert the heat from the sun into energy. During the day, especially when the water starts receding, they kind of have to go a little slower because a full-size alligator can easily weigh over 1,000 pounds.
Jeez.
A female can weigh up to 500 pounds. So imagine, if it's hot and your 500 pounds are going to be active and moving around much, no. That's why they prefer to be in the water, because they could move a lot faster in the water.
That's big, man. Isn't this amazing?
It is.
You love this place?
Yes, I do.
So, lots of exciting wildlife already. But to continue about the Everglades, back over 100 years ago, the Everglades used to stretch as far north as Orlando, Florida, all the way over towards where the Miami airport is today, and all the way to the tip of Key West, basically. Over the last 100 years, man has drained, diked, and dammed most of the Everglades to build the residential homes, roads, plazas, pretty much everything you see. The reason why you see so many canals all over Florida is because we have 5,000 canals that redirect flow of water. If we didn't elevate land and make canals, then basically our cities would be underwater during the summer. So these canals redirect flow of water, and eventually that water comes through the Everglades. Today, the Everglades has reduced in size quite a bit. This is the picture of what I showed you when the Everglades was natural. But this is what the Everglades looks like today. And this is the problem. It's much less than half the size, much less. The Everglades used to be over 8 million acres. Today what we have left is 1.5 million acres. And all of that is protected. When water would fill in Orlando, the water would overflow the Kissimmee chain of lakes. The Kissimmee chain of lakes would overflow and flow downward the Kissimmee River. The Kissimmee River would overflow Lake Okeechobee every year, which is very large but very shallow. Okeechobee would overflow its banks and create what we know as the River of Grass. This is the Great River of Grass. Now this river in some areas is up to 60 miles wide and over 100 miles long. the water is actually moving at a pretty slow rate. To give you an example, if I put you in a canoe at the visitor center during the wet season, and I took away your paddle so that the flow of water could take you down south, well, you would make it to the observation tower, which is 8 miles away, in basically a month. And you would exit through the Gulf of Mexico in about a year. The water moves at a 1/4 mile a day, but when we're stopped, you'll notice how crystal clear the water is. We have some wood storks in flight on my side. Here on Ivan's side, we have some more little blue herons. Oh, alligators, 2 of them. Awesome. Oh, guys, I think this is a little bit of romance in the Everglades. Now, the reason why, Ivan says we should turn on some Berry White. But, guys, the reason why I think this is a couple is because the males tend to be bigger. So I think the one on the right is the male, and the females tend to be smaller. We think this is a couple, or it could be 2 females. We're not sure. But if it was 2 males, for sure they wouldn't be hanging out just like this. If there's 2 males in the Everglades close to each other, that is what we call a fight. And alligators are cannibalistic, so they will fight to the death, and the loser becomes lunch, breakfast, dinner, or whatever time it is. Oh, guys, let me show you his teeth. Alligators actually sweat with their mouth open. So think of a dog panting. That's pretty much what the alligator does. He releases heat through his mouth, but either way, it makes a cool picture.
I'm going.
So, this is a very slow-moving river, but it's an impressive river. By the way, when you guys look out and you guys see all this grass, it's actually not grass. We actually call this stuff sawgrass. Now, sawgrass doesn't get its name because you guys saw it. It's actually called sawgrass because it has very sharp saw-like edges from the very bottom to the very top. When it gets bone dry out there, you can actually walk out there as much and as long as you want. This is your park, you're allowed to do that. But I will warn you about that sawgrass. That sawgrass is very sharp, and even if you're wearing long sleeve shirts and pants, this stuff will cut through your clothing. And it isn't until you start sweating that you'll realize you're covered in a million razor cuts. Most people, like Survivor, there was an episode of Survivor, they dropped off a guy here. He had to call for help because what he didn't realize was the sawgrass being so tough. So he got cuts and he got infections because of that. So he actually had to be taken away from this area. But anyways, if you guys want to touch some sawgrass, I highly recommend you run your fingers upward in the direction of the V-shaped teeth. You'll be perfectly fine. If you run your hands downward, well, I told you so. It's very, very sharp. Including flooding it or not giving it enough water. And the wood storks are very sensitive. They need to get at least 300 to 400 pounds of fish every year during their mating season for himself, his mate, and his young. If he's not able to locate that amount of fish during the time he needs it, that wood stork will completely skip breeding and nesting.
That's a bunch of them. You see them, Kamar? That's amazing,
Here we go. This is the only North American stork too, so this is really, really cool. And if you look at its head, it actually has relatives in the vulture family. That's why their heads kind of look like vultures. The black border on their wings in the sunlight, it's actually a dark emerald green. There's a great egret over here on Iva's side. But anyways, I'm going to talk about the different types of ecosystems because unlike other national parks that you may have been wowed by their scenery, the Everglades is not one of those types of parks. This park was set aside for something much more different and much more important. We weren't set aside for our beauty. In fact, most of us don't say wow until we see our first alligator here. But we were set aside for our biological diversity, which means we're set aside to protect all the different types of life that exists here. In the water, for example, this is our largest ecosystem. We have hundreds of types of fish, including largemouth bass, Florida gar, minnows, mosquito fish, walking catfish. We also have Mayan cichlids, Oscars, tilapia. Not all of those fish are native, but we definitely have them here. During the summer, after it rains, we often see crayfish running across the road. We also have freshwater turtles, like our Florida softshell turtle, snapping turtles, box turtles, red-bellied sliders, and peninsula cooters. We also have some aquatic snakes. The most common and non-venomous is the brown-banded water snake. And we also do have the venomous cottonmouth water moccasin. And besides that, alligators. Now keep in mind, alligators prefer fresh water, while crocodiles prefer brackish or salt water. If you pay the entrance fee today, your receipt is valid for the next 7 days because we have 3 other visitor centers in the Everglades which your receipt will get you into. If you want to see crocodiles, you have to go through our main entrance, Ernest Cove, drive to the end of the 36-mile road, which you can do in your own car. And at the southern tip, Flamingo, that's where you're going to see your mangrove forests, your estuaries, coral reef systems, and rock pinelands. That is also where you're going to see the endangered American West Indian manatee and the American alligator. Sorry. But either way, we're stopped here for a moment because remember when I told you when all the water dries out? What do you think happens to all the creatures that I just told you about? Everybody needs water, right? And especially alligators can't survive more than 2 weeks without it. So we are right now in the middle of 2 tree islands, and these tree islands are known as alligator holes. If you notice, we're going to talk about the one first here on Ivan's side. If you notice these trees, they look very big because they're conifers, which means during the summer they're covered in green needles, and during the fall all the needles shed into the water. These trees are called bald cypress trees. And if you notice, the bark is white, but if you follow it to the bottom, you see that dark mark on the bottom of the trunk? That tells you how high the water was last year. Now, this has a pool of water in the center of it, and I can prove it to you. You notice how the trees closest to the tram are small? Well, underneath the water there's limestone rock. When the roots of this tree hit the limestone, they will stop growing. But the trees in the middle are longer because there is a pool of water that was created by the alligator, and there's more depth in the middle. Every time the needles fall into the water, it creates a natural type of acid. It's called tannic acid. And tannic acid creates these solution holes in the limestone. And alligators have been around for over 150 million years. Their dinosaur, the dinosaur ancestor was called the Deinosuchus and the Sarasuchus. So, they've been around for a while. What they do every year is they clean out the muck and vegetation from the solution holes, and they have nails. They'll actually dig and they'll clean with their tails and snout until this is nice and deep in the middle. So these right here, these trees on my side, those light green trees are called coastal plain willow trees. Willow trees love water. They need water year-round. So willow trees commonly grow around where there's another alligator hole, since there's water supply constantly. The same thing happens with the willow. the leaves shed into the water and creates that tannic acid. Now you can actually see a gator trail right there because it will lead you right to the cypress dome where there's an alligator hole. I'm going to tell you guys that if you guys want to investigate a gator hole, the cypress dome is the gradual decline where it gets deepest in the middle, but the willow head is a straight drop. So if you want to check it out, I do recommend that you proceed with caution because that's where the alligators are. But anyways, do you guys think that when the water dries out and those gator holes are the only areas of water, do you think the alligator likes to share his swimming pool? No. Actually, he's perfectly fine with it. I'm going to talk about the metabolism of the gator in a little bit. First, I want to show you where the mammals would live. Guys, if you guys are looking for the highest land, where there's high and dry land, you have to look for the tallest trees. Tall trees signify that elevation change. And these tree islands are very significantly different. This is called a tropical hardwood hammock. Inside, we cut a path in it so you can see the elevation change. This is anywhere from 4 to 7 feet of elevation from the prairie. Very rarely does this flood. The trees are called, we have gumbo limbo, which has a red peely bark. We call it the Taurus tree because like a Taurus with a bad sunburn, it peels. Also, we have strangler fig, mahogany, live oak, poisonwood, and these bushes with the circular leaves, that is called cocoa plum. In the summer, they're covered in edible fruits. And here in Shark Valley, whenever there's a holiday and people release their balloons thinking it goes to a magical place, well, they end up in the prairie. And we have to go get them. So you'll see a lot of Valentine's balloons everywhere. We try to get rid of them. It's kind of, you know, it's a little scary going out there. But either way, it's not good for the fish. It's not good for the turtles. I recommend that if you want a memory, pop your balloon and put it in a box. Just because, you know, more and more plastic and foreign material gets in water, and it does affect the wildlife. But anyways, those hardwood hammocks, we call them hammocks because the Miccosukee and the Seminole would call hammocks their refuge or their homes. Now, not only would the Miccosukee and the Seminole refuge inside there for sleeping, eating, etc., but this is also where the mammals are going to be. That was a very small hammock. Some hammocks are over 2 miles long. But the mammals in the Everglades, the native ones, are anywhere from the white-tailed deer, river otters, minks, bobcats, Florida panther, black bear, possums, raccoons, gray fox, marsh rabbits. Yeah. Honestly, guys, if you really, really, really want to see a panther in the Everglades, I'm just telling you right now, it is one of the rarest animals in the wild to see. We have a population of about 250 panthers left in the wild. We know this because they're heavily protected by the federal government. Let me just put it this way. One male panther needs about 200 square miles of territory for himself. And because of development, they don't really have that space anymore. Also, the leading cause for mammal decline is people, unfortunately. On average, about 25 panthers are struck and killed by cars almost every year, and some months even worse. They actually, most of them have collars, so if they mostly are active at nighttime, if they get too close to a road, there are signs that say panther crossing, and the lights will start blinking if their collar reads too close. But I will tell you guys, if you really want to see mammals in the Everglades, unfortunately we have a really big problem out here. It's been going on for the last 40 years, and it does have to do with people releasing exotic animals in this area. So I'm going to talk about that a lot on the second half, but for now, we're going to talk about the next tree island. Whenever you see these bushy, flat-looking tree islands, remember hammocks are much taller and dome-shaped? These bushy, flat tree islands are called bayheads. At bayheads, they're only a couple of inches to a foot of elevation from the limestone. Now, the types of trees that grow there are what give it its name. We have red bay, berry bay, sweet bay magnolia, cocoa plum, wax myrtle. Those plants are very dense and bushy, so this is the perfect home for anything small, including rodents, bats, plenty of insects. We have about 36 native species of mosquitoes in the Everglades. But don't worry, did you guys know that bats eat their body weight in mosquitoes every day? And also 64 types of dragonflies that they also eat the mosquitoes as well. Raise your hand if you don't like snakes. You're in a bad place. There's a lot of snakes here. We do have 26 different species of snakes in the Everglades. Here's a great egret on my side. Now today that bird is really common in South Florida, but in the late 1800s and the 1900s, the early 1900s, that bird was being slaughtered by the thousands. An ounce of egret feathers was more valuable than gold at the time. They were being used to decorate women's hats. And thanks to conservationists and the plumage wars, thankfully today those birds are protected and they're very common. Here's another great egret. Okay, somebody asked me what is the status of flamingos in the park. Flamingos are actually not native to Florida. They are native to the Caribbean. They migrate here. Flamingos today are kind of rare to see actually in Florida. In the Flamingo Visitor Center, some people take canoes out and often they do see some flamingos out there. Oh, here's an alligator right there. It's a big one. We have a wood stork right across the water. But anyways, those bayheads are going to be perfect for songbirds, nesting, rodents, insects, you name it. Anything small will live inside those bayheads.
You see him moving?
Now I want to talk to you guys about the metabolism of the alligator. It's actually very slow because he's cold-blooded. As I mentioned, since they grow to be very heavy, when the water dries, they actually have to go into a change, because they have to slow their body down. Here's a great blue. They must slow their body down so that they can actually conserve energy. Some people call them lazy because of this. They will literally sun themselves in the same spot for hours. But I call them energy efficient. So if you guys need to use that, you're welcome. But I will tell you guys that alligators, you know how bears go into hibernation? They eat a lot of berries and go to sleep. Well, alligators are different. When the dry season comes and it's not as easy for them to move around quickly without water, they go into a state called estivation. During estivation, the alligator will slow his heartbeat to only 3 beats a minute.
Wow.
And when his heart's that slow, his metabolism doubles in slowness. So when the gator holes are the only sources of water, he's going to say, come on in guys, the water feels great. And most of us think that's a trick. Now, not everybody's going to get eaten because of his slow metabolism. For example, if an alligator eats a fish during estivation, that could last him up to 2 weeks. If he eats a turtle, that could last him up to a month. And if that alligator gets a mammal, that could actually last him the rest of the dry season. So this is how the animals mostly survive, and this is why we call him the keystone species of the Everglades. If we didn't have alligators here, there would be no gator holes, and everything would die when the dry season would come. Isn't that amazing? This is the water supply for over 8 million South Floridians. And it's not the water you see on top. The limestone underneath the water has holes in it, and the water trickles through it and fills our Biscayne aquifer. The Biscayne aquifer then is cleaned by the South Florida Water Management District. But yes, all of this water is responsible for the fresh water in all of South Florida. What if I told you that over 100 years ago, you could dip your hands into the water of the Everglades and drink from it, and it was some of the most mysteriously clean water? Today, most of the Everglades is surrounded by agriculture. We are one of the #1 growers and distributors for sugar in the United States. Also citrus fields, and unfortunately, phosphates, nitrates, and other contaminants make it into the water. So I definitely recommend, if you need to drink this water for whatever reason, if you were out here long enough, you would want to boil it for 15 to 20 minutes before you do that. Now I'm going to get off here because I'm going to do a little demonstration, and we're going to talk about that brown stuff floating in the water. So just stay on the tram. I will be right back.
This is amazing, isn't it?
It is.
What's it?
Guys, can everybody hear me? Yes. Perfect. So guys, I'm going to do a little demonstration right now. This is actually called slough slogging. Now you guys might think I'm crazy. There's gators. But guys, this is actually pretty safe. Slough slogging, you can actually do this with the park ranger. They do these programs for free. And it's a really cool, different way of experiencing the Everglades. Now you don't have to do this barefoot. You can do this with water shoes or old shoes you don't care about. But they will always give you a walking stick, because limestone is very uneven. It's not flat like you think it is. There's some very sharp areas, and there's also solution holes where you can twist your ankle if you step into. So I constantly have to remind people that alligators are way more afraid of people than we are of them. I'm serious. If they see us coming, they will always, most of the time, turn around and jump back in the water. So I'm just going to go in here for just a little bit because I want to grab some samples for you guys. And the best thing you want to do is you want to poke around the limestone. First of all, it scares any animals. They're scared of us. We're way bigger than them. So it'll scare anything. And by the way, if you do see like an alligator or something come up behind me, let me know after you take your pictures. No, thank you. Well, anyways, the water's really, really, really shallow right now. And you can actually hear the limestone as I'm stepping in. But I'm just going to collect some samples. Oh, there's a solution hole right there. Cool. Anyways. Okay.
What's a solution
That's
hole?
not bad. A solution hole is basically limestone that has eroded, and basically there's a hole basically there. It sounds just what it is. It's a hole in the limestone. But anyways, that boulder right there is limestone, so you actually can see how holy and porous it is. It is very porous. That's how the water trickles through it and fills the aquifer. But anyways, guys, what I want to show you, and the reason why I'm here, is this fresh water is incredibly important to everybody in South Florida. But did you guys know, and you guys can Google this, today the entire world that we have, less than 2% of it is fresh water that we can use. The rest of the world, and that's alarming to some of you, but it's true. It was alarming for me too. The rest of the world is salt water, or it's frozen in glaciers, right? So today, more than ever, we have invested so far $11 billion into restoring the Everglades, because we realize now how important it is, not only for the wildlife, but for everybody in South Florida too. If we don't take care of our freshwater supply now, in the future, in the future, fresh water will be even more limited and even more valuable. So imagine like when we have hurricanes down here, they're selling water for $30 a case. Well, yes, water is life or death. So this is especially now why we have to protect the Everglades. Today the Everglades is directly endangered from pollution, climate change. In 80 years, if we don't take care of the Everglades, all of this area will become brackish water. Vegetation would die, gators would not be able to live in this area. So I want to let you know that that money you paid to come into the park was not for parking. That money goes towards the restoration of the Everglades. And today it is so important that people know that the Everglades is endangered and we have to do everything we can to protect it. So I want to show you guys this stuff right here. I'm going to pass it around. What I want you to do with this, I want you to squeeze it, touch it, smell it, but do not eat it. I don't recommend it. I heard it works kind of like a mild laxative. I don't want to know. But this stuff right here, what if I told you as well, just like the alligator, the Everglades would not exist without this stuff. So I'm going to pass it around to you guys.
Going to touch it?
I really want you to get a touch and a feel of the Everglades.
Cool.
This is good. All right.
I'm going to touch it. It feels really gooey.
No, are you sure? Come on. Once in a lifetime opportunity.
No. Hold it up like so I can.
I'm going to tell you right now, as soon as we get seated and moving, I want to get you to the tower so you can spend some time there. All right. Give me water when you're done with it, okay?
It feels so weird. Oh, you throw it back?
But she told us to.
Yeah.
The little lady wanted us. That was cool. That actually felt good. Doesn't it?
I guess because it's mysterious.
Yeah.
So guys, like I said, if you're done with it, toss it back into the water. But if you guys touched it, you guys in the back, please sit down on the seats just in case we come to sudden stops. Please be seated. Thank you. So what I want you to do right now, I'm going to tell you guys what it is. If you touched it, go ahead and smell your hands. Smell. Excellent. What I made you guys touch is called alligator poop. I'm totally joking. I will not do that to you guys. If you really smelled your hands, they actually smelled really clean. Because that stuff is actually called paraphyton. And paraphyton is 200 to 300 types of algae. And this algae grows around plants. Peri means around and phyton means plant. Now you notice when you squeezed it, it was really spongy. Well, I want you to think about it just like a sponge. If you flipped it over, you even saw the blue and green algae color, right? Well, when the water completely disappears, truthfully, only about 20% of our fish population make it to the gator hole. We lose 80% of fish population during the peak of the dry season to the birds, the sun, whatever. But how do the fish restore themselves? How do they restore their population? Well, when the water dries, the paraphyton creates a blanket over the limestone and the soil, and all the marine life actually lay their eggs on this algae. The moisture and the sponge-like texture actually contains water. It'll be nice and warm and moist, so that will actually incubate those eggs until the next wet season. Amazing. Because all the aquatic life lays their eggs on it, it also is the bottom of the food chain. So everything small will eat from the paraphyton. And another thing it does, it filters and cleans the water, which is why the water's crystal clear. And the last thing that it does is it actually is constantly producing oxygen, dispersing it into the water and into the air. This is the freshest air you will smell in South Florida because of the paraphyton. Now that stuff is really, really sensitive. If the water's too polluted, the paraphyton dies, and that's how we know we're in trouble. This is why we can have over 200 scientists studying the Everglades pretty much a couple of months or so. Even have colleges bring out biology students to study this stuff. So again, amazing that everything here, even though it looks insignificant, everything is working together. And this is this very delicate balance that the Everglades has. But anyways,
a bird. I see it.
now that we've talked about how the Everglades works,
That's a hawk.
we're going to talk about our favorite subject, alligators.
That's cool, man.
Now, has anybody had alligator to eat?
Raise your hand, Kamar.
Well, if you've had alligator to eat, I do want to let you know that today all that alligator meat comes from alligator farms. You're never going to eat a wild alligator because there's contamination problems and mercury content. Here's an alligator. Ooh, really close on my side.
Can you get a picture of that?
It's right there, guys. Right here on my side. Awesome.
That's a big one.
He's taking a nap. Yup. Most of the day they take naps. In fact, some people that they startle the alligators, the gator will open its mouth really, really wide and everybody will be like, oh my god. And then he just yawns because you just woke him up. Seriously. Alligators do yawn.
There's a stick on his face.
The reason why you're never going to eat wild alligator is because, well, one, in the 1960s, they were actually put on the endangered species list.
Poor guy with a stick on his face.
People were hunting them so much for their skin at the time because it was popular to own everything made out of gator skin. And at the time, scientists counted less than 500 in the state. So what they did was they built alligator farms to produce meat and skin for the industry. They put very strict hunting laws on the alligator. And it's actually one of the most successful conservation stories today because we have over 2 million alligators in the state today. Another reason why you're never going to eat wild alligator is because there is a problem with mercury contamination in the freshwater Everglades. There are signs by canals that warn fishermen do not eat more than one bass a month due to mercury contents. But anyways, when all of the alligators concentrate where the little bit of water is left during the peak of the dry season, does anybody know what you call a group of adult alligators?
A pack?
The term is a congregation. That's right, a congregation. Now, the interesting part about these congregations, and by the way, I had a tram full of nuns one day. They loved it. It's true. But the thing about congregations is they're usually the same size and the same gender. They're usually females. Because, as I mentioned, 2 males is a fight, right? In fact, males will fight for the next 3 reasons to the death. Territory, food, and females. Does this sound familiar? Well, I want to let you know the male is very protective of his territory because he actually uses the territory to attract females. So if you guys would come here May and June, sorry, you're going to be just in time for alligator mating season. Now, does anybody know how alligators attract each other? Somebody in the back. All right.
They make
well, what they do is they make sound, right?
That's what I was going to say.
It's called an alligator bellow. When the time is right, males will bend their body into a U shape.
There's a timer.
Tail sticks out of the water, snout sticks up, and they take a deep breath and let out a deep guttural bellow. Now, for those of us who've never heard a bellow, you guys are in luck. I practice. I do a pretty good impersonation. However, if the female has never met that male, she's actually going to spend time to get to know him. And it's called the alligator courtship. It's real. During this time of courtship, for a couple of days to a couple of weeks, you'll observe a bigger alligator swimming with a smaller one. They'll sun next to each other. They'll also touch snout to stare deeply into each other's alligator eyes. But my favorite is they go under the water and blow water bubbles in each other's faces. Crocodiles do the same thing.
Yeah.
Now when the courtship is over, the male has to prove his strength because out here it's about survival of the fittest. So the female will test him by trying to swim from his territory as fast as she can. When he sees her, he has to try to wrestle her and keep her under to prove his strength. If he keeps her down under, she will mate with him. But what do you guys think happens if she wiggles and swims away from the male? She's going to take one look as she swims away and she's going to say, "See you later, alligator. Go hit the gym, I'll call you next year," right? Male alligator is going to cry for all of 2 seconds, crocodile tears, and then he'll bellow for 6 more females. Alright guys, we made it to the tower. I'm going to take a look at the time. We're going to give you guys the time to come back. Awesome. Guys, it is very important everybody's back on time at 10:15. If you got to use the bathroom, the porta potties are the restrooms, the ones at the base.
So we better not walk too slow so we can make it on top. Beyond this point, the bike can go.
Down to chill in the back row, it means you're a cool kid.
Is there a gator in there? There has to be. I bet there are gators in there. Yeah, they are. Sorry. If you find a purple gallander, that'll be really good. That's one of my favorite birds. It's a beautiful purple bird with big yellow feet. The purple gallander is a relatively small bird. So might have to find it. Yeah, that's on the little trail.
You know,
no, the tower's this way.
And purple galaners, they can actually walk on water with that huge.
Yeah, they can walk under the pads with their feet. You alright?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them before. I went to Flamingo last year and I saw one walking.
I've been here a few times, but I only gotten to walk from a small part of the park to the other, and then. But this time I'm gonna go through the entire thing, and my main goal to see is the Florida panther.
Yeah, I've been to the Everglades a lot. I've never seen a panther, bear, or bobcat out here. Never.
Well,
I've seen deer though. I've seen deer.
Really?
I've seen a few deer in the other side of the Everglades. I've seen a few.
Were there some males when you saw them? The antlered ones?
I saw female and males. On different occasions, yeah. And like Fatahatchee, Big Cypress, that's what I've seen. Where's that call? You know what that call is?
I think
that's a hawk. That one's a hawk.
I think that's some sort of songbird.
You too?
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
This is worth it, I told you. Look, there's the tower. We got 15 minutes. Look.
Let's go on the observation tower.
You take my picture on the top of it?
I sure will.
There's that crow you're talking about stealing the bag. You leave unattended? Oh my God, come on, look how high we're going. Yes, see some gators? There could be some down there, you know? Yep. There has to be gators. Oh my Lord. This was where?
Gator.
I don't see it.
Go down some more.
So,
See it?
where is it exactly? In the water
right
or?
in the water, yeah. Go down, go down. There.
Oh yeah. There's an alligator on the water. They're trying to identify it. Try to get a good shot. That's an ahinga, snake bird. That's an ahinga.
Fish. Yeah, there's fish in the water.
There are a lot of fish. Oh my God, look out there. This is amazing. Look at the birds. Look at the birds. Oh my God, look. You can see. Holy. Well, again, fine. What's out there?
Somebody's hat.
So, yeah, litter. Litter is illegal.
They lean over and go.
Oh my Lord. Look at these birds flying right towards us. Those are the ibis, I think. Wow. Look, the tram went farther than the horizon. Holy cow. There's a tram trail, see it? That's the trail. Wow. We're look at this view. Wow. I bet there are gators in there. But they are.
There's one right over here on the side.
Where?
Right over there. In the water.
Where's the gator?
Right over there. Right, kind of where that young man is, right there. You can see it from right here if you want.
Yeah. This is an eagle. Wow. Wow. Do you see the gator down there?
We saw it coming up.
Yeah. This is better. There are lots of birds. There's some ibises.
Well, right there, do you see a fish?
Those are
Like a really long, like a needle.
There's a vulture flying up. The blackbird, that's a vulture.
Yeah, and you see that tiny, like needle-like fish?
Yeah, it's long.
Those are garfish.
Yeah. They're some of the largest North American freshwater fish in the world.
No, I feel look to me.
The gators on the move.
Yeah. It's on the move. You're swimming away.
Fun fact, do you know that alligators came into crocodilians that have been around ever since the time of the dinosaurs?
Yes. The lady said over 150 million on the tram tour. Look at this view. Look how far it goes.
It's amazing. This national park is 1.5 million acres.
There's an alligator coming out of the bush.
Out of the where? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right there, but there's another one coming out.
Oh, I see
Right
it.
there.
You're smart. You're smart. I'll say that. Oh my God, that's a big one.
Yeah, but the first one is way bigger. I think that one might be a female. But look how fast this one is.
Yeah, I see. So I told that lady.
It might be. Is it hunting the
Wow,
Done.
it is big.
Is it hunting the garfish?
I hope not.
They can eat
You
those.
see, he's slowly getting up on him. Maybe.
He can.
Oh yeah, I don't think.
Oh, he was about to eat it. That'd be cool. A long time ago, before Adventurous Kids started, I filmed the gator leaping out of the water eating a fish.
Really?
I announced I was it was years ago in the big cypress.
He's
Now-
coming in the direction of where the other one is.
Yeah, I made their mates. They're good.
Me, my dad, and my mom used to go kayaking in the Texas.
Oh, wow.
They released them into the Everglades. Their meat is so popular in Asia, so they released them. The pets, they released them into the Everglades. And,
Oh, they did?
And the bullhead is the most ferocious and the one that has the most impact in the environment. And they'll eat like anything. They even cough up baby ducks.
Really?
Seriously, they'll even cough up baby ducks.
Where's the gator? Oh, yeah, there. We got start heading down. Yeah, we got get back to the tram before.
Some snakeheads are kind of ballistic. Even baby alligators.
Oh my gosh, that's scary. All right.
I think missing the tram with 10:15 is even scarier than that. Where's Kamar or Kamar's Halloween? Hi, Kamar. I can't wait for you. Wow. Yeah, I told you this is completely worth the trip. Especially before the hot month, you know. Should we Yeah, this tour though is amazing. I don't want to get too much on the seats. The only two of those scares, there has to be more. There has to be. There's a great blue heron on the flight. Ooh, avocado.
Remember the two alligators?
Yeah, they're right here. There's one. Oh, they moved. They moved. One, two, two. There are two here, or just one?
Oh yeah, there it is.
Hmm?
In the water.
Yeah, probably hard to see with the trees. I need ketchup. You know, your shirt matches the Everglades, Kamar.
It does?
Mm-hmm. It's green. My shirt's Everglades. We could try to find the birds. Birdland we check. Oh, that was the bird. No, that's not a bird.
Right, Ma. You don't want uncle on the duck bud?
The vultures. Way up in the skies. Oh, damn, can't see. There they are. There's a vulture. There's a vulture. There's some water. Gator can't you hear? It's a trail, but we don't. What's over here, man? Animals?
There's an alligator right there.
Where?
One that's right here. Just right off there.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I follow him down from all the way down. He's been swimming. He's coming.
Oh, do you see that bird right there? That's the purple gallinal.
That's the one I've been looking for.
That is the jewel of the Everglades. It has every color of the rainbow on it. Guys, we have a purple gallinal. This bird is called the jewel of the Everglades because he has every color of the rainbow on him. He's right on the branch, right above the lily pads.
I see it.
You see how he's got red and yellow on his beak?
Yeah.
His body is purple, green, and blue, and he's got bright yellow feet.
An alligator.
Oh, and there's an alligator right there.
Where? Oh, sorry.
Right in front
Ooh!
Wow, you guys, this is really cool.
We're just off the trail and we see. Don't get too close though, you know? Don't
No,
get
we're
too
good
close.
right now.
Yeah, I want to make sure we're safe.
That's awesome, guys.
When mating season for the gallinus?
Mating season for the gallinal. I'm trying to think. I'm not actually quite sure. It could be now because right now there's plenty to eat and nutrients. So I'm not exactly sure. Do you guys want to see this? Purple gallinal. We call this bird the jewel of the Everglades because it has every color of the rainbow on it. Right there on the spider duck, the yellow flowers are some of his favorite food. He's got a bright red beak, yellow on the tip. He's got a little light blue shield on his head. He's purple, green, and blue, and he's got bright yellow legs.
Why did they call it gallinu? I wonder.
Gallinal. Let's see. His cousin is called the common gallinal, and it's more of like a brown with dark blue and white on it. I'm not exactly sure why they call it the gallinal, but people also call it the swamp hen.
Why would it have a red beak?
Not sure.
No one knows?
Not sure.
But I know those big feet help it balance on the paths,
Yeah,
right?
it's got those chicken feet so that they can balance and walk around on the spatter dock.
So it's, where'd I get, the gear's long gone. Well,
All right, guys, we have to head back.
thank you for the info.
You're welcome.
That was cool.
Those are good questions. I'm gonna try and find out. Why does the beak red? I don't know.
This is the polluter wander.
Anybody?
The toxic algae.
Everybody says always that everyone's here, but let's just make sure. Yes, if you're not here, raise your hand. If you do see somebody running and waving their arms running down this path, don't be rude, wave back. We're leaving. Alright. Okay guys, so what did you think about the observation tower?
It was awesome.
Beautiful, right? That beautiful view you saw from the top. Here's an alligator. We're going to see a lot of alligators on this side, so we're going to be a little bit picky for what we stop. We have another one swimming in the canal. Oh, there's a black crowned night heron. You see that bird at the edge of the branch? We also do have yellow crowned night herons, but if it's got a black cap, black crowned night heron. He's got bright yellow, bright red eyes.
He does, actually.
We like to say he's been up all night because he's a night heron. Here's a gator swimming in the canal. Alright, and I want you guys to notice that all he does is move that powerful tail. An alligator's tail is all muscle. And if you get too close to a gator, that gator can actually take you right off your feet by whipping his powerful tail at you. Now, the beautiful sight that you saw from the top of the tower is what gave the Everglades its name. Our early British settlers would call a large, open, grassy area a glade. And because the landscape is flat, then they said it looks like you can look on forever. They called this place the Forever Glades. Now, you're going to notice that this road is really straight. Oh, that bird you hear calling is the limpkin. The bird that we saw earlier in the beginning of the tour, the brown one with the white spots that eats the snails, that was the limpkin. That was the call of the limpkin. Now, this road is really straight, and the entire way back we're going to have a canal next to the road. And there's a reason that this road is very different from the other one. This road was actually built by an oil company that used to own this land. Oh, here's a great blue heron. Let's see if he stops and poses for us. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna keep going because we see them next to the tram very often on this side of the road. Believe me, most of the birds here are used to the trams, so they don't really mind. Yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm looking. Anyways, guys. Oh, here's an alligator right there.
Where?
Now, guys, raise your hand if you still think alligators are green. Green. Green, okay. Well, it's okay. Most cartoons all over life show them to us green, but in fact, alligators are black. Yes. Scientifically, why? Because black absorbs heat the best, and since they're cold-blooded, they need to collect sun to digest meals and power up their bodies. Here we go. Here's a closer look of the great blue. And let's see if he stops. Okay, alright.
That's beautiful.
Alligators are actually black. Alright, to be perfectly fair, we have one green alligator in the state of Florida. He's a mascot for the Gators, likes to run a football field, like up in Gainesville. But actually, gators are black. Their cousin, the crocodile, is brown or olive green, often a grayish green. Here's another gator. Yes, yes. So crocodiles are that greenish, gray color, or sometimes brown, but they're lighter than alligators. Here we go. Let's see if he stays. Oh, not a songbird. Now, in the 1930s, this oil company came and they were looking for oil. What they did was they actually found oil right where the tower stands today. Where the tower stands used to be where they pumped and drilled for oil. And they built this 7-mile road in the 1930s using the limestone they dynamited from the canal. This used to be called the 7-mile service road. That oil company was called Humble Oil from Texas. They've changed their name since. Today you might better know them as Exxon Mobil or Esso International. Alright, here's a gator that its tail is up on the road, so... Right.
Oh.
There you go.
It's angry.
Now guys, since we're going to see a lot of gators on this side, we're going to be picky. We're going to stop for the really big ones, alligator romance, and we want to especially stop long periods of time for baby alligators because they're tiny, so we have to stop so that you guys can look at all of them. And they're very well camouflaged, so yes. So we're going to skip some. But anyways, luckily for us, the type of oil that they did find, that was a female anhinga back there. We see lots of them on this side. That oil was a low quality, so they ended up not being able to use it. They tried to put the land for sale to gain back profit. And let's just say not a lot of people are interested in buying wasteland or marshland or specifically swampland. So they ended up not being able to sell, and they ended up donating this land to the U.S. government. They like to say it was out of the goodness of their hearts, but we know they got a nice tax break. Well, once this property became U.S. government, do you guys think this became a national park right away? Absolutely not. People and even politicians would say things like this: vote for me and I'll drain the swamp. It's funny how history repeats itself. But this time they were talking about the literal swamp, or they just say things like, vote for me and I'll drain the Everglades. Well, for the longest time it worked. Most of the Everglades was drained, diked, and dammed throughout the years. They even planted these trees that are native to Australia. Those trees are called Melaleuca trees. And today we have a huge problem with Melaleuca trees because we can't get rid of them. Oh, guys, look, we have a red-shouldered hawk.
Do you see it, Kamar?
If you guys don't like snakes, this is your favorite bird out here. He is our bird of prey. The red-shouldered hawk has incredible vision. From that high spot, he usually stands on top of bait heads, waiting for a rodent, a snake, a songbird. And even where he's at right now, he can count all of your eyelashes. Incredible vision. Yesterday I was driving a tour and we spotted him on top of a tree. Next minute he swooped down and captured a snake that we didn't even see. And he just picked it up with his talons and flew away. It was awesome. Beautiful red-shouldered hawk. And you can hear his call.
Why is it?
Fun fact, blue jays often mimic that sound to basically ward off other birds around them. They copied that red-shouldered hawk's call.
Is it gonna eat?
All right. Okay. It's kind of scary. There's a female anhinga back there, but it's kind of covered by branches, so we're gonna get you a better one. Here's another great blue heron on Ivan's side. Okay guys, so for the longest time people really underestimated this place. We planted Melaleuca trees to drain the Everglades, and today we can't get rid of them. They are everywhere. But this is just a small example of how everything changes when man changes it. If you notice, in the water in the canal, you see no paraphyton because it's very sensitive. If the nutrients and the thing changes around them, basically it's not going to produce itself. And there are pipes underneath the road, so paraphyton could get to the other side, but you'd never see it striving. Anyways, it wasn't until 1947 that this park became a national park. Specifically, December 6th, 1947. A woman from Boston, Massachusetts had written a book in 1947 called The River of Grass.
What happened?
Her name is Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and we call her the mother of the Everglades because the book wrote about how she loved this place. It was so unique, and there really was no other place like it. Thanks to her, the Audubon Society, and conservationist President Harry S. Truman came to Ernest Cove Visitor Center December 6, 1947, and inaugurated the park. Which means that this park has only been protected for the last 70 years, which is nothing. Scientists have aged this park at over 2,000 years old. So this is why we still have a lot of work to do with the Everglades before we can ever say that it's been restored. Now, I'm going to talk to you guys about alligator nesting season and alligator hatching season. So even if the female is successful with the male in mating, she will still choose to go her own separate way. She goes her own separate way because she says, well, it's been fun, but you are a cannibal. I don't want you to eat my baby. So mother alligator leaves, and she starts collecting green grass, leaves, vegetation, because it's been embedded in her DNA that she can't sit on top of her eggs. She lays eggs. So what she has to do is she has to make a compost pile. And she deposits every year on average 20 to 50 eggs in this nest. When you see a 5-foot alligator, if it's a female, she will start breeding. At 5 feet, they are mature adult alligators. So, mother deposits 20 to 50 eggs in her nest, she buries them, and they're going to be in there for the next 65 days. As grass decomposes, it generates heat.
Gator, right there,
And
gator.
let me tell you guys that by the time the eggs hatch, and hatching season is usually September and October, when the eggs start hatching, there's a cool way that you can find out the gender of the baby by just the temperature and the location of the eggs. Right, guys, everybody has to stop for the trams, please. Everybody has to stop for the tram. Anyways, do you guys want to know what alligators call bikers? Fast food, or Meals on Wheels. For the kids, Happy Meals. I'm just kidding.
See
So anyways, if the location of the eggs is on the top of the nest, 91 degrees and higher, this will produce all male alligators. If the eggs are on the bottom, 86 degrees and cooler, this will produce all female alligators. An easy way to remember this is cool chicks and hot dudes. Now when the babies hatch, they are so cute, only 5 to 6 inches long, with bright yellow stripes, and this helps them camouflage. Now here's a cool fact that a lot of people don't know. Mother alligators are actually great moms. She's one of the only reptiles in the world that takes care of her babies for the next 2 to 3 years. She doesn't stay with them to feed them, she stays with them to protect them. Because everything out here that could eat a large fish will definitely eat a baby alligator, especially other alligators. Now, mother alligator, even at the nest, rarely leaves the nest. So if you see a gator on top of a mound, that's a mother, and she's very aggressive, even if you get too close. She will actually even take down larger alligators that get too close to her babies, so don't mess with mom. And by the way, when those babies hatch, they start chirping for mom, and this is what they sound like. So it sounds just like that. And what they're saying is, Mom, Mom, I'm scared. So if you ever see baby alligators and they start chirping at you, even if you don't see Mom, she sees you. And she's very aggressive, so never get too close to the babies. Now, despite Mom being very protective, she's lucky if 1% of those babies make it to adult life.
Wow.
Especially after their first year, most of them are gone. But you can sometimes see up to 3 generations of babies with mom still. The only reason why she kicks them out after year 3 is because they're going to start to turn around and look at each other as delicious. They will start to eat each other. But anyways, can anybody tell me the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? Alright, I can't hear you in the back, but here? Okay. Awesome. Yes, alligators have a rounded U-shaped snout. Oh, here's a great blue heron.
Isn't it magnificent?
The purple flowers behind
Beautiful.
is very blue. That is called purple pickerel weed.
The one with the purple flowers is
And you see
prickly?
the black feather off the top of the head of this great blue? That's its breeding plumage. That means he's looking for a mate. In fact, some of our birds will change colors or they'll grow different feathers to attract mates, just like we dress up for a date.
Female
This is a
lahinga.
tropical diving bird. You can see this bird all over South America and as far north as the Carolinas. The brown neck, the light brown neck, tells me it's a female. Males have an all-black neck. She has that nice spear-like beak, and she'll use it to spear fish, frogs, whatever she can get in the water. If you notice the white streaks on her feathers, after she dives, she pops out of the water and fans out her wings, kind of like Batman pose. And you'll see those white streaks down the feathers, and this is why we call it the piano bird. When it dives in the water and cranes its neck out, that also gave it its nickname, the snake bird, because it looks like a snake in the water. Now, during the mating season, both the male and female produce a stunning blue eye ring. And they also produce these fluffy feathers that make it look like a mohawk. At the end of the tour, we have an anhinga nest with babies that just hatched. And mom and dad actually take turns sitting on the nest. So we'll put inches from the nostrils to the eyes. You take your inches and convert them to feet. So we're going to say this one has about 9 to 10 inches, or maybe, yeah, would you guys agree that about 10 inches? So yeah, this is about a 10-foot alligator. Most alligators that are over 8 feet long are males. The biggest alligator caught in this area was over 15 feet long. But usually that's where they top out. Males in the wild can live up to 40 to 50 years. Females can live about 35 to 40 years. They have a very stressful life. They have babies every year. But did you also guys know that there's only 2 types of alligators in the world? The American alligator, which we have here abundantly in the Everglades. And can anybody guess the second type of alligator? What do you... One lives in China, that is correct. Someone here in the front got it, awesome job. That alligator is called the Chinese alligator. does anybody know the difference between the Chinese alligator and the American alligator? Alright, he doesn't know, but let's see if anybody else can guess it.
Size?
It's their size. Chinese alligators rarely grow over 5 feet long, so they're much smaller. Also, the Chinese alligator is endangered. So now that you guys know the bite differences, did you guys know that in the state of Florida it is totally illegal to feed a wild alligator? And it's for your protection. Let me tell you why. When you go back to the visitor center, they have an alligator skull on display. If you take that alligator skull and flip it backwards, there's going to be a tiny hole behind the head. If you try to put your pinky in it, it's barely going to fit, because that is the brain cavity of the alligator. Alligator brains are no bigger than the tip of your pinky. Ooh, there was a green heron who ran for his life when we stopped. We'll try to get you another one. But because alligators' brain size are no bigger than the tip of your pinky, that means that they're very primal and extinctual animals. There is no such thing as a friendly alligator. So it is important to know that if you start feeding an alligator, they start approaching people, just like birds do, just like bears do. And they're predators. They don't need our help to feed them. Let me tell you guys a real story. And you guys can Google this, YouTube it. It was all over the news. But in 2011, there was a case here in Everglades City. There was a 63-year-old man who was doing airboat rides. His name was Captain Wallace, 63 years old. One July afternoon, he took out 6 visitors in his airboat. And what he would do to guarantee a good time was he would feed the alligators. And you have to be careful. Green heron. Oh, perfect. Little green heron. Oh, just pause for a second. Hopefully we get another one. That was really pretty. That was the little green heron. Very elusive. But this one July afternoon, he brought an airboat with 6 visitors, and he had a bucket with the fish in it. Now, a lot of airboat captains do this. It is still illegal, so be very careful. Well, this one afternoon, he took the fish. Everybody on the airboat took out their cell phones, because we all have cameras on our phones now. And right when he went to feed the alligator, what he didn't expect was a 9-foot alligator that lunged straight out of the water. And yes, alligators can lunge half their body size or sometimes their full body size straight out of the water. So never get too close to the edge. When that alligator lunged, it bit down at the wrist and took the hand and the fish with him. The whole thing was caught on video and everyone was horrified, obviously. Well, here in South Florida, we have a saying that a fed alligator is a dead alligator. Because every time 911 officials hear reports of an alligator being fed or an alligator hurting somebody, even non-fatally, 100% of the time that alligator pays with its life. So not only did they kill the alligator when they came to the scene, but they also tried to get the hand of the man back. Now, alligator stomach acids are incredibly strong. They just take a turtle, crush it a couple of times, and swallow it whole. So, reattaching the hand did not work. Also, since this is highly illegal, what he did, and they had proof. Oh, there was a Florida softshell turtle back there. Just the top of his shell was showing. It's already in the water. But that was a Florida softshell. Just the top of his shell was showing. But not only did he lose his hand, but he got fined with a very heavy, expensive fine. He served the next months in prison. He lost his airboat license, and yeah, he lost his hand, and this is real. So I can't think of a better story that is true to tell my tram tours about why it's never a good idea to feed them.
Why are we stomping? Oh.
Oh, beautiful. A female with her wings spread out, drying to us. She's not waving hi to us. Yes?
It's cute. Aw, that's a baby.
We're going to keep moving up a little bit slowly.
Yeah, I see it.
It's right here where you see these cattails right over here. It's next to that area on the left. Is that today, the numbers of pythons in the Everglades all over are anywhere in the tens of thousands. Some people even say 150,000 and more. The reason is because one female python can have up to 90 eggs, up to twice a year sometimes. One of the largest pythons removed from this area was being held by 3 park rangers in this photo, and it was 1 inch shy of being 19 feet long. It wasn't until 1979 that they found the first wild python near the Everglades. And let me tell you guys that the first time that they found one, they ignored it because they were hoping that nature would get rid of it. Well, let me tell you guys, it wasn't until 2009 that the python was banned for sale and trade in all 50 states. Oh, there's our little turtle! Look at the little turtle back there. He's right on top of the grasses. That's so cute. That looks like it's a peninsula cooter. You guys in the back are right level to it. Awesome job, Ivan. That's awesome spotting. So let me tell you guys, today, it's kind of depressing. It is depressing. Today, this is a real number. You can look it up. Today, 99% of our small to medium-sized animals are gone. Ever since
terrible,
this python pretty much was introduced. And it wasn't until 2009 that we actually banned the sale and importation of these snakes. You know why? Not because of our mammals declining at an alarming rate. In the 2 years I've been here, I've only seen... Oh, here we go. That's a nice close-up look of the great blue. In the 2 years that I've worked here, I've only seen less than 10 river otters on separate occasions, and I do these tours every day. So, let me tell you guys that the reason why they waited until 2009 to ban it was because there was a tragedy that happened in 2008. And unfortunately, our history has a way of... you know, not putting in laws until something terrible happens, right? Well, in 2008, there was a couple in Central Florida. They owned an albino Burmese python, and they wanted to get rid of it because they couldn't afford to feed it. So they tried to starve their snake.
I've heard this story before.
And this is awful. They actually only had their snake contained in an aquarium with nothing but a blanket and bungee cord wrapped around it. Oh, we have an anhinga with the eye ring. This is the female with the green eye ring. Beautiful. She's kind of covering herself with a branch, but there it is. Beautiful. The male gets more blue, turquoise, and hers is more green.
I thought that was a good person.
So let me tell you guys that if you guys don't feed a pet, it's going to manage to feed itself. And remember that. One afternoon, that python escaped its enclosure, and it actually found its way into the room of their sleeping 2-year-old daughter. And once that life was lost, it was all over the news. People were outraged, and it actually started the first python hunt. The year after, it was banned to sell these pythons and buy them as pets. Well, let me tell you guys that the first python hunt attracted 1,500 people. Also, National Geographic came out with a special, a 2-hour special, because there was a crazy photo that was taken here in the Everglades. This photo has a whole documentary. This photo was taken by a park ranger. And what it is this is the body of a 10-foot python floating on the water. And this is the tail of an alligator that has burst through the stomach.
Wow. That's almost...
Now guys, real quick, we are running out of time. Oh, there's an eye ring on this anhinga too. We are running out of time, so I want to pass these pictures to you guys in the back so you guys can look at them before the tour ends. 1 second.
That's sad about the dogs are dying from the python.
You guys can pass those around.
You okay?
Okay guys, so since our tour's almost over, I'm going to finish up. The first python hunt with 1,500 volunteers, 1 month, and cash incentives. Guess how many snakes they caught after a month? 67.
This is the one I was telling you about back in the car,
Next,
remember?
came out with a
the
phone
gator?
number, so you can report the pythons if you see them. The number is still around. The number is 1888. I've got one. 1888. I've got one. If you see a python, you can report that snake to that number and they will capture them. All pythons today are kill on sight. I'm sorry, are you guys okay back there? Sorry, there was a fallen branch, I'm sorry. Oh yes, and the bikers as well. Guys, please stop for all the tramps, please. I'm sorry guys back there. No, it's okay, I know you were...
Aw, baby with the eggs.
So guys, in 2015, that number where female specimens were being turned in, they actually tagged and GPS trackers the females. They tracked her back down during the mating season, because during mating season she releases a scent to attract many males to her. Using her as a Judas snake, it was called the Judas Project, they were able to remove 2 tons in weight in pythons in 2015. I have good news, guys. If you go to google.com and type in Python Elimination Program, it's going to show you the results for the most recent project. Last year, 2017, the South Florida Water Management District ran a program that was offering people hourly wage to hunt pythons. There was cash incentives too. If you caught a 4-foot python, you got $50 bonus, an extra $25 for every other foot, and if you caught a female guarding eggs, you got $200 on the spot. Now let me tell you, at first they only were going to do this for 2 months, but since it was doing really well, they're actually still doing it. By the time 2017 came around, September, they managed to catch 158 snakes. The total of the snake lengths combined was almost 1,400 feet. Wow. That's longer than the roof of the Empire State Building. Today, I've checked the results recently. They have captured over 820 snakes since the project started. But I do want to remind you guys that it is not the snake's fault. People were the ones who brought them here and released them. It's important that we all recognize the mistakes that have happened and we learn from them to not commit them again. Because everywhere in the world has problems with invasive animals. And we should educate ourselves about the dangers to the ecosystem that they create. Today, all snakes are found are euthanized. Yes, humanely their lives. Now guys, I have one more thing before we end the tour. First of all, how about a round of applause for Ivan? He did a tremendous job spotting wildlife. He brought us back on time. But here I have a treat, guys. We have an anhinga nest across the canal. You see the male?
I see it feeding a baby.
You see the baby's right there. Look, he's sticking out his head. So when the female sees the male's eye ring, she says, "Hi, I like your eye ring." They start to hang out. And if the female likes the male has to go out and impress the female. He's going to search far and wide for the perfect stick. If the female likes that stick, oh, there's a Florida gar in the water. You see that long, skinny fish? That's the Florida gar. Now, let me tell you guys that if she likes the stick that he gives her, this will become the first stick of the nest.
Oh, I see it.
But if she doesn't like the stick the male gets her,
You can't.
she will actually take the
here.
stick from him, chase him, and use the stick to beat him with it as a sign of her dominance. So that male's got to look for a new female and a new stick after that. Now guys, once again, my name is Carmen. His name is Ivan. Guys, give us a shout out on TripAdvisor. We love hearing from you, and it inspires people to come and learn about the real Everglades.
You see the
Me and
babies?
Ivan are not park rangers. We work for the concessions in the park, but I want to let you guys know something. You shouldn't be a park ranger to be the ones that take care of the planet. All of us play a major role in protecting the planet today. Humans have the power to either save the world or to destroy it. Simple things like not littering, recycling, voting for, clean water, all of those things make a huge difference. I personally am an advocate for the Everglades, and I hope that today a couple of you leave as advocates as well, if not all. So guys, if you liked my tour, at the end we are allowed to accept any tips if offered. That is completely up to you. I greatly appreciate it if you do, but please come back. Please take a slow walk by the canal and get more photo opportunities. Today, everybody wants to see wildlife. But if we don't take care of our planet now, there's not going to be anything for the future. So remember these last 3 things I'm about to tell you guys. Remember, don't feed the alligators. Don't litter. If you see litter, pick it up and throw it away or recycle it. And last and most importantly, let's save the Everglades. It's now or never Glades.
Any gators in here, man? Oh, there's a bunch of turtles. There's a bunch of them. There's a black cloud right there, man. There's another black cloud heron too. Oh, I just want to see that gator. Don't get too close to the camera. Don't get too close. We have to stay over here. See the sign? We have to see him. Oh, he's up here. That's a big one. Oh, make sure notice behind. It's a big one. This is a great eagle too. Black cornet heron. Black cornet heron. First one, I'm all the way over here, away from the gator, man.
Hi.
How are you? It's a big gator.
Look, there's a pink turtle over there.
Yeah, I see the turtle. That's a big one. There's a big one.
There's a little bit of bird nest.
Oh yeah? Let's go see the Shark Valley Visitor Center.
I think it's... This is cool.
Me too.
Look at the skulls. They're huge.
Yeah, and it's funny. This would want to look like a crocodile.
That's a croc.
And this is a gator.
Gators have 80 teeth in their mouth.
Good, how are you? You said no.
Yes. Royal Palm is really nice. The Antigua Trail is
Oh,
it's really nice.
if you've ever sat that way before and you're like that.
Are you coming out?
Goodbye, Everglades National Park, Shark Valley.